Hi everybody, we're from All Star Shoes, and today we're going to talk to you about the business strategy game for our Management 767 class. So first, let me introduce my team to you. My name is Jacob Watson. Next, we'll have Elizabeth Civil, then Jordan Lewis, and Curtis Morrison. Alright, so to give you guys an agenda of our presentation today, first we'll dive into the background of our company, then we'll analyze our value chain, go over a SWOT analysis, and look at some measures for our game performance. Then at the very end, we'll talk about our strategy and how it evolved from day one to the end of the game. Alright, like I had mentioned before, my name is Jacob Watson, and I'm going to talk to you guys about the creative side of All Star Shoes. So we're going to dive into the company name, the logo, the slogan, the vision statement, the mission statement, as well as code of ethics and a commercial for our company. When selecting a name for our company, we wanted a name that was reflective of how our company viewed ourselves. We wanted to be known as a top performer in our industry. The top performers in sports are named All-Stars and are chosen to special teams with high performers. Since many of our customers are involved in sports, we thought it was a natural transition to name our company All-Star Shoes. Regarding our slogan, as mentioned before, we strive to be a top performer in our industry. Because we are a global company and strive for success and leadership in all markets, we chose the worldwide leader of shoes as our slogan. Our logo is reflective of our customers and strive for success. The person in the logo is an athlete that we target, and the star is the success that we strive for. If you'll notice, our logo looks like a person jumping toward the star. That's how we view our company, striving for success in all aspects of our business and reaching for our goals, much like the athlete that we would target. The All-Star Shoes vision statement says, All-Star Shoes seeks to be the low-cost provider of a quality shoe for everyday wear. We desire to attract and retain the customer that is looking for a comfortable shoe for everyday wear at a price point that is near the bottom of our competitors. Our long-term direction seeks to penetrate and capture market share within the global market. Our goals and objectives will be accomplished by executing a strategic plan that utilizes a low-cost price point, aggressive advertising, reasonable retail support, and a limited number of shoe models. In regards to the All-Star Shoes mission statement, it's fairly simple. All-Star Shoes will be the low-cost market leader of a quality shoe for everyday wear. At All-Star Shoes, we hold ourselves to a high standard by our code of ethics. The first code would be integrity in all aspects of business. We strongly believe that honest and diligent work is truly the only way to long-term success. Our next code is maintaining a safe and healthy work environment for our workforce. We will pay close attention to our workers' wages and make sure that their overtime working is kept to a minimum. Furthermore, we will provide adequate workspace for optimum productivity. We will also produce products that customers can trust. We put the customer at the center of our business and produce shoes that we stand behind. Next, a major ethical code that we abide by is gathering market and competitor information legally. We will only use information that is provided to us about the market and our competitors. We won't seek out unethical ways to get ahead in the market. Lastly, we will abide by our commitment to our stakeholders. We will do this by keeping accurate financial records and respond to shareholder expectations. Next, you will view a commercial from All Star Shoes.
My name is Jordan Lewis, and I will be presenting the game performance measures for All-Star Shoes, as well as 3 additional financial ratios. The game performance measures include earnings per share, return on equity, image rating, credit rating, and stock price. The 3 additional ratios we chose to compare are return on total assets, current ratio, and total asset turnover. Each graph will compare the game performance measures of All-Star shoes with the industry average, investor expectation, and the performance measures of our closest two competitors. Our company's two closest competitors have been identified as Footwear Pro and Hehe Sports due to their similarly priced shoes and attempts at providing a low-cost product. The first game performance measure we'll cover is earnings per share, or EPS. Earnings per share is found by dividing net income by the number of shares of stock issued to stockholders. EPS can be boosted by acting in ways that raise net income and by repurchasing shares of stock. As you can see in the graph, All-Star Shoes struggled to increase EPS consistently through year 15. After formulating a 3-year plan, the company was able to increase performance and raise EPS through years 16, 17, and 18, ending the game at $5.52 per share. According to the BSG, return on equity is defined as net income divided by the average amount of shareholders' equity investment. The average shareholders' equity can be found by adding shareholder equity at the beginning of the year and end of the year and dividing by 2. Like EPS, our company had trouble meeting the investor expectation for this performance measure until the final 2 years, and ended the game with an ROE of 19%. Image rating is based on 3 factors: a company's branded SQ ratings in each geographic region, a company's market shares for branded and private label footwear in each of the regions, and a company's actions to display corporate citizenship and operate in a socially responsible manner over the preceding 4 or 5 years. Due to our company's low-cost strategy, we committed very little money to increasing the SQ rating of our shoes, and also spent very little money on corporate citizenship and social responsibility. This caused our image rating to decrease year over year, ending with an overall rating of 48. An organization's credit rating is based on 3 factors: the company's debt-to-assets ratio, the interest coverage ratio, and the default risk ratio. Credit rating affects the interest rates assigned to loans acquired by companies throughout the course of the game. Our company's credit rating was initially pretty poor, mainly because of an emergency loan taken out early on, as well as an additional loan to ensure we didn't require another emergency loan. After formulating our 3-year plan, All-Star Shoes was able to increase our credit rating by paying back our loans early, ending the game with an A+ rating. The final game performance measure, stock price, followed a similar trend as our company's EPS and ROE, increasing dramatically in the final 3 years of operation. All-Star Shoes finished the game with a stock price of $108.53. The first of the 3 additional financial ratios we chose to compare is return on total assets. Return on total assets shows the rate of return a company is generating from its assets. It is calculated by dividing net income by total assets. Similar to ROE, our company's return on assets varied slightly for the first 5 years of operation before increasing year over year the final 3 years, ending at 15.77%. A company's current ratio measures its ability to meet short-term obligations. It is calculated by dividing current assets by current liabilities. While our company's current ratio clearly didn't increase as drastically as Footwear Pro, one of our competitors, it increased slightly year over year until year 14. After dropping in year 15, our current ratio saw a strong increase the final 3 years, ending at 4.21 in year 18. Total asset turnover is the final ratio we will be comparing. This turnover ratio measures how efficiently a company is using total assets to generate sales revenue. This ratio is calculated by dividing sales by total assets. The ratio shows the strongest and most consistent increase of any of our measures throughout the game, ending with a ratio of 1.36. The next 3 slides will show a breakdown of the cost of each pair of shoes for years 11, 14, and 18. The total cost of a pair of shoes consists of standard materials, superior materials, labor, best practices training, plant supervision, enhanced styling and features, TQM and Six Sigma, production run setup, plant maintenance, and depreciation. As you can see here, the materials used in our company's shoes was fairly evenly split between standard and superior materials in year 11. Our company's strategy had yet to be implemented, but will be reflected in the year 14 breakdown of costs. As you can see in this pie chart, our organization had switched to almost entirely standard materials for our shoes in year 14. We also decreased spending on best practices training, enhanced styling and features, and TQM in an attempt to lower the costs of our shoes and increase profits. This strategy of using mostly standard materials caused our company to fall behind other low-cost organizations who were willing to spend slightly more on the quality of their shoes to increase their sales. We chose to return to spending a larger amount of money on superior materials in an attempt to create a more desirable product. Our company continued spending less on best practices, enhanced styling and features, and TQM in order to keep the production costs of our shoes as low as possible. This mixture proved to be the most effective implementation of our strategy, with year 18 being our strongest year of operations. Now I'm going to hand it off to Elizabeth Civil to go over our value chain analysis and SWOT analysis.
My name is Elizabeth Civil, and I will be going over a value chain and SWOT analysis for All Star Shoes. Throughout the simulation, there were many activities done to create, distribute, and sell athletic shoes. These primary activities are vital to business operations. Celebrity endorsements that help sell the brand are part of the marketing and sales segment of primary activities. Another example of a primary activity would be plants producing the shoes. Secondary activities help support the primary activities through providing functions that can be part of multiple primary activities. Human resources, which is a secondary activity, would deal with hiring of plant workers as well as marketing associates to help increase sales. Procurement would deal with purchasing raw materials used for making shoes as well as other accounting operations. While the goal is to add value through every stage of the value chain, some segments add more value than others. One way value is added is through establishing core competencies. All Star Shoes focuses on a few key areas to establish core competencies. First, our company keeps the customer in mind through our pricing strategy. We strive to provide shoes at a value or low cost to customers. This way, our market is open to a variety of incomes. Additionally, our brand has a worldwide reach, which allows us to sell to all markets. Finally, we have established a brand recognition through our strategic advertising and marketing. Through a SWOT analysis, our company can find areas for improvement. Shown is a SWOT analysis for All Star Shoes. Some strengths would include the value offering of our affordable price shoes and our ability to attain sufficient capacity to supply enough shoes to meet demand. However, one weakness is our ability to predict inventory, particularly early on in our company life. Additionally, the number of models we can offer can limit our potential market. Being able to build a plant in Europe would give All Star Shoes the opportunity to have a producing capability in all regions. Rising product costs can threaten our ability to offer shoes at a low cost. When gauging the general environment, there are a number of political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal factors to consider. Politically, tariffs vary from country to country. Selling among countries with high tariffs can put a strain on the bottom line. The same can be said for exchange rates, which is an economic factor. An example of a social factor would be a certain region's propensity to buy based on the amount or type of advertising. Labor laws vary by region, sometimes influencing a company's decision whether or not to produce in a region. Overall, the general environmental factors give a big picture or macroeconomic view of the market. Michael Porter, a very well known and published author of strategy, has created 5 forces that effectively analyze an industry. One force would be the threat of new entrants. There are relatively low barriers to entry for the shoe industry, so that new brands can emerge at any time. Other types of shoes can enter the market and serve as substitutes. A specialty type of sandal that can be used for a variety of athletic activities would pose a direct threat to athletic tennis shoes and their market. Customers have a low bargaining power when switching costs are low. Athletic shoes tend to attain a lot of wear and tear, causing a continual search for new shoes. If customers become unsatisfied with one brand, they can easily buy from another brand. On the other end of the spectrum, suppliers have the power through negotiation of contracts. Suppliers only have so much products to sell due to limited capacity. These plants can charge a premium for raw materials due to the undersupply. Finally, rivalry plays a huge force that influences the industry. Companies with similar strategies can get into price wars. These graphs depict the competitive landscape for the internet and wholesale segments of the shoe industry as of year 18. As a company, we definitely set ourselves away from the pack, having a low-cost shoe and a low product breadth line. Recently, Blue Collar Shoes has been trying to emulate our strategy, but has not been successful at attaining any significant amount of market share. While offering a limited amount of models reduces costs for our company, it also limits our potential market size. Therefore, many of our other companies focused on offering a higher product breadth while offering a price that could sustain the increased costs. Glider sports shoes practice a differentiation strategy by providing a higher quality and product breadth while placing a premium on the product. The strategies described are emulated in both the internet and wholesale segments. Not shown is a depiction of the private label segment. Participation in that segment was very variable, with Glider Sports being the only team to consistently compete in that segment.
Thank you, Elizabeth. My name is Curtis Morrison, and I'm going to talk to you about the strategy that the All-Star Shoes team utilized. Specifically, the business strategy, the evolution of our strategy, the private label, our international approach, the evidence of our international approach, what we learned, and what we would do differently if we could participate in the BSG again. Our business strategy was formulated as a result of several discussions with our team members. Our research had indicated that to produce a high dollar shoe with high quality materials could be subject to significant risk related to the changing dynamics in the business and industrial market of retail shoes. Consumer preferences and tastes, as we know, can easily be swayed by the latest marketing ploy, and as a result, we chose to attempt to appeal to a very broad customer base that was looking for a comfortable, durable, yet inexpensive and reasonably priced shoe. So in order to accomplish our goal as the low-cost provider, we felt it was critical to utilize overseas manufacturing because this could significantly reduce our overhead production and manufacturing costs. We purchased manufacturing capacity in both Asia and Latin America to accomplish this goal. However, in the event of a unforeseen geopolitical event or some type of macroeconomic instability in the labor and material markets, we also utilized North America production to ensure that we had a stable political and economic environment available to us if we needed it. Our strategy was then to proceed to ship our low-cost product into markets in North America and Europe where there was high discretionary income and thus the ability to maximize high profit margins. Our team quickly learned that the international market had nuances and pitfalls that included but were not limited to shipping costs, inventory management, labor nuances, and currency fluctuations. Initially, we were simply not happy with the results, and after several 3-hour conference calls over several weeks, we decided that we really needed to focus on actions that were producing financial results. Specifically, during year 3, in an effort to curtail our excess inventory, we overreacted and ended up having insufficient inventory, which resulted in the inability to sell over 700,000 pairs of shoes. This obviously hurt our profitability for that year. Going forward, we began to pay special attention to the levels of inventory that we were maintaining. We found out that it was both an art and a science to ensure that we had enough inventory for sales, but not overproducing inventory, which increased our cost of goods sold. While all the team members had good backgrounds in financial fundamentals, our actions were simply not producing the desired results. As a result of our efforts, we realized that we needed to modify our process and therefore have an evolution in our overall strategy. We began to focus on anything that could enhance earnings per share and our related financial ratios. We simply abandoned spending on items that we deemed to be investments that weren't producing financial results. For example, some of these qualitative social line items such as green initiatives and charitable endeavors were simply dropped from our process. We also reduced our level of quality materials and SQ investments. An important factor that we began to utilize in this evolutionary process was studying the actions and results of our competitors. This was very helpful for us to see what other teams were doing, embracing their approach, and then absorbing that approach into our own business plan. We did eventually find what we believed was a successful formula. This included minimizing the number of models we were producing and at the same time investing heavily in advertising, marketing, and retailer support, as well as providing international labor incentives for greater efficiencies. We began embracing the currency fluctuations that we saw in the global market. Rather than avoiding currency risk, we began finding ways to use currency risk to our advantage. Additionally, non-operational activities included the repurchasing of our company stock, which over time produced financial engineering, which enhanced earnings per share. We also began to utilize third-party endorsements from celebrities in specific regions to try to maximize our market share. Private label simply wasn't working for us. The attempt to win private label bids, we believe, became unfruitful, and as a result, we simply abandoned the private label market. Our team utilized a global approach. We believe that there were significant advantages to using foreign labor and foreign production in order to reduce our overall costs. We initially had manufactured and produced product in North America and Asia. However, during year 2, we purchased production facilities in Latin America, which came online during year 3. We also manufactured in 3 of the 4 geographical regions, including Asia, Latin America, and North America. However, we sold product in all 4 geographical regions, which included Asia, Latin America, Europe, and North America. We utilized labor compensation incentives in our overseas manufacturing to help maintain quality and reduce defective products. As I mentioned previously, we also embraced and took advantage of currency fluctuations and celebrity endorsements within certain specific geographical areas. So what did we learn? Well, we learned numerous things about the BSG in this class. Focusing on financial fundamentals is critical. Also, taking actions that specifically enhanced revenue and earnings was also very valuable to us. We learned that if actions don't enhance revenue and earnings, then simply avoid them, making sure that we have a clear understanding of how a decision will affect the financial performance of the company. Additionally, being bold yet flexible in our willingness to try new approaches. There are several things we could do differently if we were to re-participate in the BSG. First of all, we would conduct more research on the BSG to try to understand and ascertain a better understanding of some of the material underpinnings of the BSG simulation. We would work faster out of the box, immediately taking action that drives overperformance in our revenue and earnings. We would implement stricter inventory controls to avoid some of the inventory issues that we had during the BSG simulation. Lastly, we would not overthink or overanalyze and simply focus on the financial fundamentals of managing and running a company. Thank you for your time. We enjoyed the BSG simulation, and I believe it was a worthwhile endeavor in applying some real-life issues to the business market. Thank you again.